Have you ever loved something so much you want to consume it? I mean, not in the sense of eating it, but hugging, kissing, inhaling its scent. Well, I have, towards my cat. If you really think about it, hugging, the act of bringing something physically close to your body, smelling, inhaling a thing's scent into your body and into your lungs for your olfactory cells to receive it in the brain, and kissing, which is the soft variation of eating, are pretty similar to the act of consumption. In a way, they are consumption, and love itself may be a form of consumption. Love can be shown in a myriad of ways. Some forms of love are seen as pure, such as kindness, compassion, and the unselfish concern for the good of another, while others are darker, where vanity, selfishness, and ego are present and can make people who possess them seem peculiar. Let's start with the most common form of love, hugging. We love to hug. You hug your cats, dogs, families, and friends. Some of us have even hugged inanimate objects, like stuffed animals, when we were children. However, hugging, while very common and universal, symbolizes something deeper. When we hug, we break down our physical boundaries, allowing people to come close to us and trusting them enough not to harm us, even though that same closeness could deal a fatal blow. I am not a hugger, and I rarely even touch people, but when I see my sister feeling sad or distraught, I hug her because I feel bad for her and I want her to feel better. I hug people to show that I care and that I love them, even though in normal situations, I would never do that because I think it's cringe. But hugging is very primal. Even animals like chimpanzees hug their babies when they miss them or when they think their loved ones are hurt. So hugging really is beautiful. And in a world where trust isn't always guaranteed, hugging is quite a big deal. Then we have kissing, a little form of love that is admittedly a little gross. The word philosophy is even somewhat related to kissing. The Greek word philein can mean to love or to kiss, while sophia means wisdom. So if we stretch the meaning a little, philosophy can be thought of as the kissing of wisdom. To some phenomenologists and existential thinkers, kissing represents a merging of lives, an attempt to achieve unity with another human being. In that sense, it is not much different from hugging. The most commonly known form of kissing is kissing on the lips. It can involve many sensations, including touch, smell, and taste. It is usually associated with romantic love, but kissing on the lips is not necessarily romantic. In ancient Greece, people kissed on the mouth to express equality between people of the same rank. During the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church even recommended the kiss of peace to signify a wish and blessing that peace be with the recipient. In folktales and poetry, kissing is often used as an important part of the story, where kisses can cast off spells or break bonds of witchcraft and sorcery, as seen in stories like Sleeping Beauty, or restore a person to their original form, as in Beauty and the Beast. Sometimes, parents kiss their children on the mouth to show their love, though this depends on the child's age and remains highly debated. I wouldn't do that though. However, people generally agree that the difference between hugging and kissing is that kissing is more strongly associated with romance. I mean, I do kiss my cats and my mom, but kissing is most commonly associated with lovers, where passion and desire are involved. I mean, just ask your local teenagers what they do at parties. They play Truth or Dare, 7 Minutes in Heaven, Spin the Bottle, Post Office, and all sorts of games that serve as an excuse to kiss their crushes. So, in Western culture, kissing is an important expression of love and erotic emotion. The kiss is so important that Christopher Neurop described the kiss of love as an exultant message of the longing of love. To him, a kiss is an intoxicating feeling of infinite happiness, courage, and youth. It surpasses all other earthly joys in sublimity. Kissing can even lead to maturity, for it is through kisses that the knowledge of life and happiness first comes to us. Wow, Christopher Neurop really was excited about kissing, wasn't he? Other acts of love that most people love to talk about are making love, the merging of bodies, intercourse, copulation. You get what I mean? It is the dissolution of bodily boundaries, where distance in some parts of the body becomes negative. Humans engaging in this activity seem as though they are merging into one, almost as if they want to become one. Kissing, while it may seem very intimate, is not universal for a variety of reasons and may even be considered improper in some societies. The romantic sexual kiss is present in only about half of the world's cultures. Intercourse, on the other hand, is present in every human society, for our existence is completely dependent on this act. But for most humans, that is the furthest they can go toward becoming one. If the creation of a child can be seen as a symbol of two separate selves merging, then it is perhaps the closest humans come to true union, where the child becomes a living symbol of both parents. Yet, the parents themselves never truly become one. They remain separate individuals, never experiencing life as a single, inseparable entity. Unless you're Frankenstein or something and decide to attach your partner's body to your own. But that is currently almost impossible, and it is extremely complex to reconnect intricate nerve pathways to a new brain. And we simply do not have the technology for that. Even if we could, the body's immune system would detect the foreign tissue and aggressively attack it, rejecting unmatched organs and tissues. So, for most people, intercourse is as far as they can go without venturing into more dangerous territory. But knowing humans, there are people who are not satisfied and crave something more, something beyond the union of bodies. And shockingly, this desire to get closer appears in an everyday act, eating. However, what is being eaten is where things become controversial. When hugging, kissing, and even intercourse aren't enough to show love or desire, some people delved into activities that involve eating or being eaten. It's called Vorarephilia, an erotic desire to consume or be consumed by another person or creature. Basically, it's an attraction to the process of eating in general. Since it is illegal and can't be acted out in reality, thank God, it is often expressed through drawings or fiction. These fantasies usually include a consumer, who is often referred to as the predator or pred, that consumes the victim or prey. There are two types of vor. The first type is called soft vor, which involves consuming the victim whole and alive, meaning the victim remains intact. Consuming loved ones is seen as the ultimate devotion, an act of physical closeness where loved ones can never leave by literally being absorbed into the body, unless you count feces as an exit, but we'll ignore that. The second type, which is more extreme and considerably rarer, is called hard vor. Unlike soft vor, it involves the destruction of the prey, where the consumer chews and tears them apart, often with more gruesome depictions of digestion. Delicious. But there are many more variations of vor that I won't mention here, and I think it's best for you to explore them yourselves. But the pattern is clear. Many of our cravings and urges, especially those related to love, involve consumption, and when taken to an extreme, ugly things can happen. In 2001, Armin Maiwes met a man named Bernd Brandes through an online forum dedicated to cannibalistic fantasies. After meeting in real life, Brandes asked Maiwes to castrate him, and Maiwes carried out the act. Despite pain, Brandes was disappointed that the sensation was not as intense as he had hoped. Afterward, they ate the severed genitals together. A few hours later, Brandes collapsed from massive blood loss while attempting to use the bathroom. Believing that he had died, Maiwes tied Brandes to a table and dismembered his body. This incident was recorded on a 4-hour videotape. Over the next 10 months, Maiwes dismembered and consumed the corpse. The case of Armin Maiwes is definitely gruesome, but in some cultures, cannibalism has been quite normal. Cannibalism is the act of eating the flesh of one's own species. So, if you're human and you eat another human's flesh, then you are participating in the act of cannibalism. From a modern mainstream perspective, cannibalism is seen as an extreme taboo, something that could never be engaged in, and is viewed as sacrilegious toward another human. But in many parts of the world, especially if we go back in time, cannibalism can be found on almost every continent, and it has been practiced for many reasons: rituals, magic, superstitions, violence, and most commonly, starvation. Even in Christianity, especially through the establishment of the Christian Eucharist, Christ is recorded as saying, "For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed." You don't have to go far to find that the idea of consuming God was metaphorically enshrined as a form of worship. Thankfully, in the modern era, cannibalism has fallen out of fashion, right? Well, I think so. But while many view cannibalism as an act of extreme taboo, it is sometimes seen as a form of affection in certain cultural contexts. It is called Endocannibalism, the practice of eating members of one's own community or locality, usually those who are already deceased. In the past, some South American indigenous cultures practiced endocannibalism, though it varied between tribes. The Amahuaca people of Peru collected fragments of bones from cremation ashes, ground them with corn, and drank them as a kind of gruel, similar to cereal. In Western Brazil, the Wari people consumed the roasted bodies of deceased Wari members as an act of compassion. Refusing the practice could be seen as deeply offensive to the immediate family of the deceased. What distinguishes these practices from other forms of cannibalism is that they're not driven by nutritional need, but by deliberate cultural or emotional meaning, where the act itself carries significance. We, while we do not eat our loved ones, also do something similar when they're gone. We consume them by collecting their belongings, holding their ashes, eating their favorite foods, following their scents, and listening to their music, among many others. So, consumption itself is not rare. It just takes different forms across cultures. It just happens that in some cultures, that consumption is literal. Love can be shown in a myriad of ways: touch, spending time together, and even sacrifice. But one theme we have discussed today is consumption, or from another angle, the destruction of distance between two or more individuals. Hugging, kissing, and even eating are all acts that represent the burning desire for a union. However, we must accept that perfect union is not possible. To love something, it has to exist, and it has to be separate from you, because the moment you completely absorb it, there's nothing left to reach for, nothing left to embrace, and nothing left to love. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Sorry for not posting for more than a month. A lot has been going on, and living alone while handling everything like cooking, chores, and keeping my apartment in order can get pretty overwhelming sometimes, especially on weekends when I just don't feel like doing anything. But I'm feeling better now, and I'm trying to be more active again. At the same time, I don't want YouTube to take over my life. I still want to have time for friends, going out, and actually living outside of work and content creation. So I'm trying to balance my full-time job, YouTube, and my personal life. I'm also working on other things like making music for a marching band, going to philosophy gatherings, and maybe even singing at an open mic someday. So yeah, I'll try to be more consistent from now on. I know I say that a lot, but I mean it, or I don't know. I'll also post more on Twitter or Bluesky and Instagram too. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good week. See you next time. Bye.